I have, but it's 2 o'clock, so I'll call this meeting to order. I do note that we have a quorum. Brent, would you give the invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Would you stand with me, please? Please bow with me. Lord, we're thankful for this day. We're thankful for the summertime. We're also thankful for the upcoming school year and for this board and faculty and staff. Please protect our students as they get ready for this new chapter in their lives. We pray that you help the board deliberate as well. So in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please face the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. First item on the agenda is open forum. How do we stand on it? We don't have anyone signed up for that? All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is President's Report. Mr. Baker.
Yes, sir. I'm going to start off with some really good news on our enrollment report. I'm going to give you both summer semesters, even though we've already talked about summer one in the board meeting. Head count for summer one, we were up 14% this year compared to summer one of 2016. 1,904 students. Contact hours, of course, is what we were funded on. We were up 8%. Summer two, we were up 7% year over year. 984 students in summer two of 2017. This is college-wide. And then contact hours, we were up 15%. Any questions about the enrollment report?
Thank you.
Very good news. Thank you. Some recognitions for you board members. Congratulations to our Associate Degree Nursing Program. The Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board announced earlier this week that our ADN students had a 96% graduation rate. Now that rate places our program at number 3 out of 25 institutions across the state of Texas. Our WC students outperformed 27 out of 28 universities as well, including the likes of UTA, Baylor, and TCU. Now, when you consider that these graduation requirements are tightly regulated, they're nearly identical across the state, it speaks to the very high quality of our program. And I want to say congratulations to Department Chair Cheryl Livengood and Dean Kathy Boswell and our entire ADN faculty. That's tremendous. I'd like to recognize geology instructors Lori Gouge and Will Sigler. I think Lori might be here with us. You may have heard that a woolly mammoth skeleton was discovered at a local construction site here in Weatherford. Lori and Will were called out to help excavate and also to provide a hands-on opportunity for our students. And CBS 11 came and aired a story on this, and it was picked up by CNN and ran across the country. And not only are these professionals exposing students to real-world hands-on experiences, but the publicity and the goodwill, you can't put a dollar figure on that. And Lori, I think, brought a show and tell from the excavation.
This is a cheek tooth.
Oh.
A tooth.
Do you mind if I take a picture of that?
No.
That's a tooth? A
Yes,
tooth?
this is a partial tooth. So it would have been on his right side. See how this is skull material. It would have been his upper cheek molar.
Oh, get your picture of the cheek tooth.
Have we named him?
Yes, the person we gave the rights to name it was the person who discovered it, a landowner, and he called it buckwheat.
Where was the construction site?
Oh my.
It was discovered by the backhoe person, right?
The person who is building the house nicked it with his bulldozer.
Yeah, so how did he know to
It
stop?
rained really hard that night and exposed a large portion of the tusk. And because of the shape of the tusk, it's like a big macaroni. He had the foresight to realize it wasn't a limestone or a deer bone. And he contacted actually a university in Oklahoma who came down and confirmed it was a woolly Columbian mammoth, but they were not interested because it did not have any Paleo-Indian, like the guys killed it with a spear,
So
reference.
you're saying it's a Colombian mammoth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And so
Wow.
They called us, and we went out and claimed the excavation. They donated the entire body to the school.
Wow. Amazing. I just thought,
How big is this?
how did
Will
that
we have to
construction guy
rebuild
know
it?
not to go
I
ahead
know.
and dig?
Yeah, really.
He's a full Colombian bull mammoth, approximately 30 years old. He would have stood 9 to 12 feet at the shoulder. We found the tusks, and then we found more bone and more bone and more bone, and we're still finding bone. The expert from Baylor, in the paleontology department, came and saw it and said out of a 10, this was about a 6 or a 7 on specialness because of the amount of body that's still there.
Wow.
Awesome.
Sorry, that's...
Thank you, Lori. Thank you very much. Pretty neat opportunity for our students, actually. I want to say thanks to Dr. Andrew Cantrell for helping us save an extra $56,000 in state funding from the state of Texas. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but Dr. Cantrell discovered an incorrect number in the formula that determines how much funding comes from the state for retirement benefits. She contacted TACC. They worked with the Legislative Budget Board to rectify the problem, and that's why we have detail-oriented people working with our money. So thank you, Dr. Cantrell. I appreciate it. You can give her a hand. That's fine. Congratulations to our athletic department. A record-setting year in the classroom. 14 WC students earned Academic Student Athlete Awards from the National Junior College Athletic Association this year, and that is a school record. I also like to recognize 2 former WC students now competing in the world of professional rodeo. Lane Livingston and Stevie Hillman each won their respective event championships at the very prestigious Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo in Wyoming this past weekend. Lane won the tie-down roping championship, and Stevie won the barrel racing title. Stevie is now ranked number 2 in the world in barrel racing. We also had 2 softball players named to the All-American teams in June. Pitcher Morgan Rackle was named second team All-American by the NJCAA, and the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association named Macy Perrin to their first team. Morgan will be moving on to Austin Peay State University. That's a Division I program in Tennessee. And Macy will be transferring to play the next 2 years at Texas A&M Commerce. Some policy required notifications for you, board. For our testing center, and we have Glenn Crabtree here, who is our new testing center director. This is your annual report on high school equivalency exams. In calendar year 2016, we had 347 GED tests administered through the center. 155 of those were first-time tests. 192 were retests. Our revenue for that period just under $5,900. In February, we began offering another alternative, the high-set test. So far, we have administered 39 of those for $375 over that 5-month plus period. The high-set test is a new test that actually has a paper alternative rather than the computer-based only GED is now. On a related note, our testing center administered over 16,000 tests in calendar year 2016. And I think Ms. Morris was a big part of that as well during that period.
That's why I retired.
Gee, thanks.
Resignate. Do you have any questions of Gwen on that? Thank you for being here, Gwen. She wanted to make a speech, but I told her we didn't have time. Resignations and retirements. Vocational nursing instructor Amanda Ward has resigned to accept a position with the Weatherford ISD. And Kay Young, our Dean of Workforce and Economic Development, has announced her retirement as of August the 31st. Kay has served this college faithfully for 20 years.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know when we have her going away party. She's been a big part of our college for 20 years. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you. We'll move to the consent agenda, financial reports, the approval of the minutes from June 1, June 7, June 29. Has everybody had a chance to review those? Are there any questions on those? Financial reports ending May 31, June 30th, 2017. Quarterly investment report, renewal of the sealed bid for intercollegiate athletic insurance, sealed bids on food, service products, supplies, sealed bids on color, web printing services, sealed proposals for insurance coverages, loss control, risk management, and the policy, local BD policy, future board meeting dates and times. Is there a motion concerning the consent agenda and financial reports?
I move we approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor say aye. Move to the reports, item number 5, proposed 2017-18 budget report. I guess that's you, Ann. Or do you want to start that, Brent?
I think Dr. Cantrell
All right,
will
that's
jump
what
right
I
into
thought.
it.
All right.
We are coming to you all with the final proposed 2017-18 budget after a long year of developing this thing. We've had lots of ups and downs with it. Just to remind you all, the responsibility is shared by the whole college. It starts from the very bottom, comes up, and culminates right here with you all as the board. It's one of your responsibilities. I think it's very important to point out the work that everyone puts into it, because it is very time consuming with the faculty and staff and the directors and the amount of time they put into it before it ever gets to the administrators. And so I'd like to thank them for their part in it. Since we all met, I believe on June 29th for the budget workshop, second budget workshop that we had, which hopefully you all remember what took place that day, and that we did have a balanced budget at that time. I think we talked about several things that day that you all wanted to see take place in the budget. So we've gone back to incorporate those changes into the budget since that time. The changes in revenue that helped us to accomplish those needs that were expressed that day were the Parker County ad valorem tax revenues for maintenance of operations have been increased by $1,289,149. Later today we're going to discuss the tax rate, but in anticipation, and we will change it afterwards if we do not go to the 7%, but we went ahead and projected in the 7% over the effective tax rate increase to see, and adding all the things that we felt like were needed for this year. We will, after discussion by the board on those items, we'll go back, and if you all don't want those, we can take those back out for the final budget that would be adopted on August the 25th. We are recommending for you all, and we'll talk about that later, the 7%, which would still be less than the rollback rate and less than last year's rate of .12019 cents. So we are still less. The Wise County branch maintenance tax, we were notified, which I was in hopes that this would take place. I said Parker County always comes back from their original estimate with less dollars for us after all of the appeals. And somehow Wise County always comes back with more money, which is a good thing. Their evaluation went up to $2,932,000. They had estimated it at a revenue of $2,932,000. And so that increased to $123,000. We took that $123,000 and offset their transfer from reserves with that. The necessary, and I'm about to say it was, decreased it down to $451,813. The local funds others was reduced by $476 due to the reduction in that indirect cost from Wise County that we talked about last board meeting. Operating grants were decreased by $12,000 due to reduction in preliminary budgeted grant revenue. I'm not going to read everything word for word, but the other changes in expenditures that we placed in since June 29th, the technology services was increased by $710,419 due to the proposed purchase of a new ERP system, new network switches, virtual desktop for student labs, and the lease of employee computers. I will tell you at this time, $550,000 of that is for the ERP system, and that's to get us started for this first year. They're projecting $1.5 million or estimating $1.5 million. Is that right, Greg? For the whole system, and it would be probably over a lease purchase, and that would be the first amount that we would be required to spend. They have already done a lot of work in this. There's been a committee. They went this week to North Central Texas College, and they were very pleased with what they saw, and the college up there was so gracious to them to show them, and offered help assistance to them later on, I think. Is that right, Greg? And
They were very good to us.
once again, that WCWC direct cost was decreased by $475 due to the reduction in the indirect costs. Staff benefits was increased by, we put $105,000 as a placeholder for potential salary and benefit increases. We had done a preliminary run on anyone making $60,000 or less. And our preliminary, we went back, our mistake was to go back and check it, because the one we checked was a little bit higher than what the actual figure was. So I've got 105 here, but actually it should be more like 65,000. So there's be some savings there, and on the variant sheet that I sent you, the correct figure is there. Major repair and rehabilitations was decreased by 100,000 from, I think we started out with 750,000 in major repair and rehabilitation from last year, and so we're down now. And we've got several things projects that we're contemplating and need to be done. There's a lot of work out on the Carter property. We took a trip out there this week with Vance Christie, our new agriculture instructor, and he's done a lot of work out there trying to investigate the property and what would be best and use of it. And so now we've got to come back with a plan, and so I'm trying to figure out where that major repair money in the fence building and all that's going to come from, and hopefully some of it would come from there. We have a project in the library that we haven't obligated yet for not the staircases, but the railings upstairs that need to be adjusted or are built. We've had a preliminary estimate of 100,000 there, but it's not obligated yet. But the only thing we've obligated at this point is 160,000. We've just still got a lot of work to do to fill that out. A new general legal counsel was added to the budget. Government of the institution was increased by $40,000 for the presidential firm search. We reduced legal fees. Grant expenses were reduced. The general institutional contingency was reduced by $41,000 to offset the startup cost for the employee computer leases. Property liability insurance was reduced by $13,000. The bid the proposal you just approved for property insurance saved $13,000 and something this year. Good. And Mobile Go Center was increased by $13,000. We had cut them way back. I think they originally had like $40,000 in that budget from the original when we bought or received the grant for the mobile, and so it was. But they convinced us that they needed operating expenses. So salary and benefits adjustments have been made throughout to reflect the insurance and hiring adjustments on those people that have been hired since last we met. And upward bound local was decreased by 618 correction and administrative costs. All the others I've noted there for you that were built into the budget already are increasing the state appropriations of $172,000 over what was budgeted last year. Parker County tax rate was decreased from the .12019 down to .11948. Remind you once again, we've gone 4 years without a tuition increase, and that's a long time, and we're falling behind the state average quite a bit now. So this is something, and you know, the state doesn't want to pay it, no one wants to pay it, but we're down to the last place to look for, I guess, right now with the tax rate. And so we're coming to you and asking at this point in time to consider a tax increase. Our lease payment at Wise County went up. A 2% salary increase for full-time employees totaled $323,000. That was before we had not placed the additional 1% anywhere. We put it in benefits right now, just as a whole, in case not approved. An additional full-time administrative position in general legal counsel, a decrease in equipment of $85,000, a decrease in travel of $23,313, a reduction of $323,000 in operating grants, student aid decrease of $1,655,000, an increase in plant operation and maintenance of $78,000 due primarily to the 3% increase in the facility management service contract. I will tell you, discussing the development of this budget, we've cut for several years now, and I will tell you, there are not a lot more places to cut. We've put off a real tax increase. We've put off increasing tuition, trying to make it affordable for our community. And, you know, there's just not a lot of extra places to look for dollars at this point.
Yeah.
Any questions on the budget?
I think you did a good job.
Okay, thank you.
Looks good
All of
to
us
me.
did. Everybody take a bow.
Dr. Cantrell, you told me that we are still among the lowest tax rates in the
Yes,
state.
that is in your packet right here. I have, if you'll take a look at this little blue sheet right here. This shows you right now, what the 2016, the state average was at .18576. If you'll look straight down how low we have gone, .12019. And this year would go even lower, even at the 7% increase. So if you'll look across that line, I'd say since 2005, it's been growing, our deficit in community going for tax increases. I mean, there's been times when we needed it, but just wanting to do the best we could with the community. And I don't know how many times we've gone back and said cut percentage here, and cut percentage supplies, and it reflects it in the budget now. But I think that tells a big story right there. If you'll look on the next page there, 2016, 2017 fiscal year, 2017 tax evaluation, we're setting right now the ninth lowest tax rate in the state for community colleges. Last year we were the lowest 12th. We set at the 12th mark, but we've dropped down to the ninth lowest now. So we're losing ground. I mean, all the other colleges have experienced, you know, losses from the state just like we have. There's very few that have had the growth, had a major growth, and so there's just not really anything else we can do at this point. Larry, would you go ahead and turn this? Let's go ahead and go to that variance sheet. And I'll explain that before we go in there and talk about the consideration and proposal of the tax rate and the scheduling of the public hearings that's required. I will tell you that the effective tax rate, I believe, ran last night, and the property tax notice to the community that's required. We will, just as soon as this board meeting is over, post the required notice for the public hearings, and on that it will talk about the average rate of household and the increase that will be necessary if we adopt, or if we adopt the rate that is proposed today. It tells about it does also tell who voted for the increase and who voted against the proposing, not voted to adopt, but voted to propose it at this time. So that's in there. And so we will, it'll run next Tuesday. It runs 7 days before the actual tax hearing. And then the next tax hearing, we only have to run one because it tells both meetings, both hearings that run. So I think our next one was on the 21st. And
Yes.
then we have to run one more notice, and it's a notice of increase, and it has to run before the tax rate is adopted. And it tells how much increase was there. And then on the 25th, we would, of course, adopt the budget first and then the tax rate.
Do you mind if I say something about that,
Sure,
Dr. Canfield?
absolutely.
So, you guys all know this, but just as a reminder that no matter what your tax rate is, if you bring in $1 more in local taxes than you did the previous year, then you're required to have these public hearings. And they say tax increase. We're proposing a tax rate decrease. That's very important to distinguish. We're proposing a tax rate decrease, not an increase. But because of the evaluations, we're bringing in more dollars, and that's why we have to have the hearings, et cetera.
Is it stated that way, though, in the notices that you published?
the-
Not really.
Oh, okay.
There, it will show the notice, the final notice that goes before the lags, it will show an increase because you're bringing in more dollars, and it shows how many more dollars. And that's based on valuations out there that it increases.
The state tells you exactly what that ad can say. So it doesn't really clarify it like I, you know.
We will show $1.2 million more than $1 million more in tax levy. But actually, we were short 200,000 budgeting the full amount for this year. So the $1.2 million more in the budget is reflected from the extra 200,000.
So people's taxes, the dollars out of their pocket, is not really going to be any more.
Let me go to that.
It depends on their valuation.
Yeah, it depends on if their valuations.
Yeah. Because the evaluations did go up this
We're
year.
under the rate. The rate, if you look, I'll just go ahead and go to that. Larry, let's see, where's my pointer?
Why wouldn't we just keep that 12019? What are we doing?
Okay, right here is our current rate. Excuse me. Our current rate is the .12019. Our effective rate that they figured, and that they figured that by taking the amount of adjusted tax revenue that we had for this last year and dividing it by the $100,000, I believe, on that .11204 you come up with. And is that takes that rate to collect the same amount of taxes that we brought in last year. Okay, a 3% would go to, you take 3% times your maintenance and operation rate right here and increase it over here. Your debt service rate never goes up. It's the same no matter what. And so sometimes you can pick up a little bit right in there, but your total at 3% would be 11.523 cents. 5% increase would take it up just a little bit, the 7%, and then the 8% rollback. Anything over that 8% rollback, we've done that. Since I've been here, we've done one time, as to my knowledge. And nobody even showed up. It was amazing.
I do
you know?
remember that, yeah.
Okay, you come on down here, total tax levy, maintenance and operations from all those areas, $11,529,000 from your current rate, $10,708,000 from the effective. That's how much it would drop by dropping back to the effective rate, Trev. And going up then to that 3% from that effective, $11,029,000, 5%, $11,243,000, 7%, $11,458,000, and then 8%, $11,564,000. When you go to that total tax levy, and then you total tax levy at 98% collection, which is a safe, we normally collect more than that, but that is a safe, conservative collection rate. Wise County will never allow me to book more than that 98%. I have before, but sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking right at the end. So I am showing the 98% collection. Current budgeted tax revenue, $12,369 is what we had in there. And so before we considered the tax increase, so the additional revenue generated by the rate was $339,000 for the effective rate, And that effective rate, the reason it shows 339,000 is because it was actually from this year's revenue that we exceeded what we had budgeted. It's not that we can carry it over, but it's just showing that we've got more in there. And then additional at 3%, 654,000, 5%, 863,000, $1,074,176. This is what is in the budget that I showed you all today, that came in your packet. And then the 8% rollback, and one of the reasons I didn't want to go up to that, because when you jump there, we would not have had the rate decrease. Because your 12,019, the current, to your 8% rollback 12,053, and in $1 over that, you're in trouble, because someone can, if they come in and file a grievance, you can be rolled back, and you can't collect anything till a hearing has been done and a
We don't
vote
want
has
that.
been taken. And that's a little nerve-wracking.
You clear on that, Doc?
We don't need to do that, Mac.
No, I've only experienced it one time, and it wasn't here at Weatherford College. It's when I was working for the CPA firm that WISD went through one, and they held them up till January, February of even getting any, knowing what they were going to have.
Pass.
Additional budget requests that are out there that we looked at. The other things we had balanced the budget with that you all asked us to do after that June 29th meeting. We reduced some major repair and rehabilitation dollars. We moved that indirect money back and forth. And so we were able to balance the budget before these requests were not met. And so looking at this we had the additional budget request of major repair and renovations. We would like to come back up and be at a $600,000 level at least. 750 like we were last year would even be better, and I think that final option 8 would have taken us there, but not real comfortable right there. And then your ERP system, 550,000 in this column in option 1. New network switches to go with that, and they are end of life January 18th, so whether we do it now or later, it's going to come immediately. And virtual desktop for student labs, 39,000. Employee computer lease. We're starting on a lease program where we would start leasing computers instead of purchasing them. It would cost us $51,074 for this first year. And then we talked about, I think Ms. Morris asked last time, she was concerned about the employees that were making a lesser rate here at the college, a lesser salary, lesser rate per hour, and wanting to know if we would look at anyone making under 60,000 and consider doing a 1% increase.
Additional 1%.
Additional 1%. What did I say?
1% increase.
Okay, 1% increase only.
3% versus 2%.
1% additional increase.
Yeah.
Okay, 64,000, and that would cover the additional benefits it would cost. Now, there was some discussion in cabinet Tuesday, I will tell you that right now, about this was brought up, and so there was differing views on that right now, but I'll let you all discuss that. And then I gave a final note, because we did look at different options there. I gave a final note of what it would cost, an additional 1% for all others also. And that would be another $88,000 there. So it would cost $148,000 to bring everyone to 3%.
The way this discussion's gone, we've actually moved into agenda item number 6. I just want, for the record, I think that needs to be understood.
Yes,
So, does everybody understand that I think we're on number 6 right now on the agenda?
All right.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Doing a good job.
When you look at the $1,144,000, the additional revenue generated by that current rate of .12019, that's how that would be projected out. If we only went with the effective rate, the only thing we would have is 339, and I would recommend we go to the ERP system with that and let it go as far as we could go, Greg. And so we'll have to push it to the next year. 3% increase would take us into that ERP system. and get us started like we planned. Then we would have new network switches purchase of $70,345 and $33,000 available for employee computer lease. I would have to take the rest of that from my rest of our contingency equipment fund, and that would have to be lowered. We'd lose equipment in other areas at that point in order to do that lease. 5% come down. Your major repair would be able to put $192,000 there. The ERP system, once again, switches, virtual desktops, and we showed there only $12,074 in that employee computer. And that may be, we had to go back and forth on some of those. That looks a little crazy to me why we would have done that. But maybe trying to get this $192,000 more in major repairs for one of the projects we were talking about, and for $863,000. 7% would come in, and that would give us $341,000 more in that major repair and rehabilitation, $550 and on down. And we still, on that employee computer lease, we're still going to have to go to that contingency fund there if we add the additional salaries of $64,000. And that would be, I mean, but that's a pretty comfortable spot for us. I mean, I think we can, this can be adjusted right in here as we move along, and Greg sees which computers we're replacing and all that. And then as we get further into the year and looking at our projects that we've got to go to address out there for the coming year. So roll back, I think we could get everything we needed right there, but we're also edging on up there, and at that point in time we haven't had a rate decrease.
How do y'all feel about that? I think that's a really good description of what we have. We're about $100,000 under the rollback at 7%, and so she has really done, the entire staff has done a great job to put all this together. How do y'all feel about that?
The 7% increase?
Yeah, to go to the 7% like she's.
You
like that?
That's my comfort zone.
Okay, well, good. Whatever, everybody else, Doc, Elaine,
Yes.
whatever you.
Thank you.
That's where we need to be.
Thank you very much.
Well, we need to be at 8, but I'm chicken.
Oh, no.
We're all
Can't do
chicken.
that.
I'm chicken.
Well, this is no time to
Well,
do a
we just,
rollback.
we want the community to realize we've been as conservative as we can be.
Yeah.
And this new ERP system has just, we've pushed the can down the road as far as we can.
Mhm.
All right.
And
And Jelani's taking good notes.
All right.
Do we need to have a motion?
Okay.
Yeah, you do. Is there a motion concerning item agenda number 6, the proposal of the 2017 ad valorem tax rate and scheduling of public hearings? Public hearings would be when?
they would be the,
August 15th?
15th at
21st?
12 noon, and the other's August 24th at 5 p.m. And what we've done with that in the past is allow one at lunch for people that can come in and one right after work.
This is
So tell me
public
the times
hearings,
again
right?
on August
The
15th.
one on August 15th would be 12
They're on your
p.m.
agenda here, too.
p.m.
They're down here at the
Oh,
bottom.
okay.
And the one on August 21st would be at 5 p.m.
Does anyone have that motion?
I do.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Good deal.
Thank you very much on that. Item number 7 on the agenda, consideration possible action concerning TASB policy service update number 32, and that's in our handouts, and that would be Relinda. Thank you very much.
The college partners with the TASB Policy Service to update both our legal and local policies. The legal policies reflect mandates from state or federal law, and board action is not required for updates to the legal policies. TASB also recommends update to our local policies to ensure these are consistent with recent legislative and legal changes. And board action is required on the local policy updates. And today we bring you update 32. There's just a couple of new policies I'd like to bring to your attention. One new one is the CHF local, which is a result of Senate Bill 11, the campus carry. You notice our signs out in the hallway, hopefully, when you came in. At a prior meeting, you all approved the college's procedures, very specific procedures, the campus exclusionary zones, and this just puts the final piece together in our policy book, the CHF local. Another new policy was FL local, student rights and responsibilities, and that one states that the college shall develop a student handbook. Student services, they've had a student handbook for quite some time now, and it's located on the college website. Adam's group is going through it right now to update changes for the 17 to 18 year, and we'll place that online soon. And some revisions within this update have just been added for further clarification within each policy. Some policies have been deleted and then added back at another policy code. And other changes within the update are relatively minor and reflect the practices of the college. So the cabinet members bring TASB Policy Update 32 to you today for approval.
Any questions for Relinda on that?
There were a couple in here about compensation and benefits. So is there anything that's really changed affecting the faculty and staff as far as compensation?
No, there's not. I mean, all of the changes are, like I said, they were just minor changes, maybe just to add more clarification within a policy, but all the changes still reflect our practices.
Okay, good. That's my only question.
Anything else? Anyone? Is there a motion on item agenda 7?
I'll motion.
Motion to approve that, Doc?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. We'll move to agenda item number 8, consideration possible action appointment of Weatherford Economic Development Authority Board. Mr. President?
Yes, sir. Sharon Hayes, the Weatherford City Manager, called me a couple of weeks ago, and she said that normally Weatherford College has a representative on the WEDA board, Weatherford Economic Development Board. Dr. Eaton was our representative previously, and she asked that the board would place another representative on there. It could be a board member, it could be myself for the time being, whatever you decide. This is a representative on the Weatherford Economic Development Board.
Okay. How do you want to handle that? Anybody want to volunteer? Anybody having a motion?
I'd be happy to do it in the meantime.
Is your plate full?
This is a once-a-month meeting, I believe lunchtime.
Andrew, have you served on it before?
I have in the past, but
Okay.
Well, how about you, Leah?
Oh, yeah, I'd be glad to.
If you want to, I'm just
It doesn't
concerned
matter.
about you having too much.
I'm okay, but I'm more than happy to have a board member serve. It's totally
I think
fine.
it's been in the past.
It's been both ways before. We've had board members and the president at different times.
I'd
So.
like to nominate Leah, sorry, Leah.
Second.
Online, is that a motion and second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That'll be unanimous.
Good for you.
Item agenda number 9, consideration possible action, 150th anniversary steering committee representative. Mr. President?
Well, as you know, in 2019, our college is celebrating our 150th anniversary. And so we have begun discussions about the festivities. We're putting together a steering committee. We've actually had a steering committee, but we're trying to expand it. And we'd love to have a representative from the board serve on that steering committee. We'll start meeting rather soon in the fall.
I'd like to nominate Sue Cody.
Well, I've already volunteered and I would love to do it. If
So moved.
All right, there's a motion, and is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank
All in
you.
favor say aye.
Step up, Miss
I
Kelly.
would, well, I was here for the 100, so I guess
Great.
I can handle this. I can't grow a beard like Bill did, but we can do something else.
All right,
Glad to have
That's
you.
a good thing.
that motion passes unanimously. All right. Now we're down to agenda item number 11, future agenda items or meetings.
You're skipping 10.
Oh, so moved.
Looks like we got
Number 10 we need.
traffic jam.
Did we? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I jumped past 10, I apologize. Sorry about that. Consideration possible action, west parking lot traffic patterns.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Cody came to us and
Okay.
asked that we put this on the agenda, and she had some concerns. Sue, would you like to address
Well,
that?
because I just nearly got killed the other day. I'm serious. And it it's not about me, it's about safety. Many, many years ago, I was the one raising the stink about putting those speed bumps in there. And they've kind of been leveled down so people just sort of ignore them. And I had parked and I was going to step out to come across. I looked to my left, looked to my right, and then I looked to my left again. Otherwise, I would have stepped out and there was a car coming real fast, and you know it's narrow, and it's two-way, of course. And had I not looked to my left a second time, you all would have attended the funeral, I bet you money, because that car was going really, really fast, and it would have taken me down. And I'm thinking I can't be the only one that's happened to. It's not possible. But
Paul, what's the litigation on that?
We patrol that on a regular basis. We have a lot of cut-through public traffic that cuts through that parking lot. It connects to major streets, and this was visited a long time ago.
I know.
And if I remember what we visited with the city, you know, it has to be a public cut-through because it connects to public streets.
Public streets, right.
And it almost has to be anyway for employees to be able to access it and utilize it.
The only way we could do it was, I guess, to close one end of it, and they're not going to let us do that.
no. Could we make it one way?
Probably not.
Yeah.
What about, can we limit the time that people go through? Like, can we have a sign that says closed, you know, whatever the sign says,
10 miles.
no through traffic between these particular hours? But how would you police
Yeah,
that?
that would require.
Yeah, it would be a nightmare.
It'd be a
I don't
nightmare for
think you can do
you.
anything
The
there.
logistics of all that just
Other than be
turns
alert and mobile.
into a nightmare.
Yeah.
We could, the one-way thought,
Maybe,
something
I
that we
don't
could
know.
look at.
Well, and I know there are 10 mile per hour
I don't think you can do that.
speed limit signs elsewhere. That would certainly help too, you know, at least to get people to slow down.
How many complaints have you had on that, Paul?
We have several a year.
A year?
Yeah, meaning a dozen or less a year. We
Anybody
get-
actually hit?
No.
Yep, Shirley
Not that I
Campbell's
know
car
of.
was totaled back
I'm
when.
talking persons.
Right, not that I know of, no. ma'am.
Yes, she was. She was sent to the hospital.
Who?
When was that?
Oh goodness, it's a long time ago.
Okay.
How about this, Mr. President? How often do we take a look at the overall campus safety and the overall patterns that need to be looked at here? How does that work?
You know, we haven't taken a look at that since we probably did our last master plan, our campus master plan. And I think now would be a great time, because we were talking in cabinet about this. There are some other spots on campus where we have a similar situation. We have cars zipping through, and we probably ought to take a holistic look at the entire campus.
Are we still in ties with emergency management also?
In ties
Or-
with them.
Well, I mean, as far as our plans of safety
Yes,
and
ma'am.
exits and disasters and
That's reviewed
whatnot.
once a year, yes ma'am, and we review that and go through it and see.
Perhaps we could tie some of that. I don't know how long it's been since we've had a mock situation, but we might want to try. I don't know how the city would feel about that, or the county. Everybody has to be involved, judges on down. So I don't know if that would be beneficial or not, but you know, that would be a lot of work involved just for one situation. But you know, they might consider it, they might not. They might say it's just watch out. But I know in the past we have looked at this, and it's been very complicated and very sticky and very legal issues really came up a lot of who owns who knows what. And because it is the streets that access, who owns this strip, who owns that strip, and all the legalities that go with it. Now, I don't know if they've improved those since then. I have not been involved since then, but
Since I've been here, that subject's come up a lot of times.
I know.
It never goes
it
anywhere.
never goes anywhere.
I will say I did talk with Terry Hughes, and then he called out to the city utility. There's an easement, the city has an easement through there to that
Right.
water tower.
Right.
He said they don't have a problem with closing off that north end, but they would have a problem with the south end because
Oh,
of.
sure.
And
So
again, you've got fire restrictions. A fire truck has to be able to go entirely around this building with no obstructions.
I would not
And that's a
be comfortable
fire
at all
code.
with closing
Oh,
this
no,
committee.
no, that's not, I don't think so. I just think if we could look at the possibility of making it one way, and I think it would need to come off Park, and we're gonna have to get somebody to cut that brush on that corner, because that is dangerous, really,
Well,
if you
will
drive in
complain
there.
to the city about
Uh,
that.
But I think if we made higher speed bumps and posted a 10-mile-per-hour speed limit, that would help
Do the
a
speed
lot.
bumps.
Speed bumps do deter them. You can lose an oil can under there.
What if we took a holistic look at all of our parking lots, driveways, and came back to the board with a report to look at some action? What do you think about that?
That would be lovely, just something.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Oh, yeah.
Elaine?
Yeah.
Is that okay? All right. Would it be possible then to, everybody just table this until we can come back and give everybody on the board a chance to
That'd be
approve
fine with
or
me.
take
Just-
action on a plan? All right? All right.
Would you like to make a motion to table that?
Yes.
That might be.
I'll do that. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. That's,
We'll do it.
okay, now
Okay.
we'll jump to number 11, that I tried to cut out number 10. So let's go to number 11, the agenda items on meetings.
Just what we talked about a few minutes ago, we do have the 3 additional meetings this month. August 15th at noon, that's a public hearing. August 21st at 5 o'clock, also a public hearing. And then we would have a called meeting August the 25th at noon to adopt the tax rate and the budget.
Brent, would those be in this building?
Oh, actually, what we had talked about is the 2 public hearings being in the Mince Board Room, if that's okay with you guys.
All right.
Did we
Is that
talk
okay
about-
with everybody?
What about the
Yes,
25th?
sir.
Call these things and then
All 3 of these would actually be in the Mince Board Room, if that's okay with the board.
All right. Do we need a motion on this, I think?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
So is it like what you said, nobody came before, Indra, that
Well, there's been times someone came, and
if
there's
nobody
been
comes,
times they
we
have.
just don't have a meeting? Or just
No,
say we
No,
did?
you still have to call it to
No, we'll have a
order.
meeting.
Okay.
You still have to state it in the public.
Yeah.
Just a short one.
Looks like
Open
we're
and
on,
close
on number 12, announcements.
Not a lot of announcements yet. We do have our in-service on August the 24th, and board members, we'd love to have you there to attend if you'd like to come that morning. We'll get started about 9 o'clock that morning, and that'll be in the Fine Arts Center. Our fall semester technically begins on Friday the 25th, but as you know, most of our classes will start the following Monday and Tuesday. And then Labor Day is right around the corner, September 4th.
All right, thank you. All right, we're to number 13, closed session. So at this time, I'd like to close the open session and give us just a couple of minutes before we go into the closed session. All right. The time now is 3:42 by my watch, and so we're now back in open session. And I guess what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll make sure that we have properly addressed in agenda item number 6, what the proposed 2017 ad valorem tax rate would be specifically, and just for the record, Andrew, would you state
let me-
that, and then
That's 6.
we can re-urge the motion at that rate?
That the Board of Trustees proposed to adopt the 2017 ad valorem tax rate of .11948, split up between 0.11367 maintenance and operations and .00581 debt service on August the 25th, and confirming the tax hearings date and times of August 15th, 2017 at 12 p.m. and August 21st, 2017 at 5 p.m.
Thank you for that. Is there a motion to that effect?
I so moved.
All right, is there a second?
A second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, thank you. Now then, let's go to I guess it's number 14, and let me preference, let me do a little bit of explanation, not much. One of the things that we've talked about in closed session is the request for proposals for our new presidential, looking for our new president in this school. And so, in that regard, we need to construct a request for proposal outline and ultimately the request for proposal statement that we would publish in the newspaper and that would frame our search for the firms that we might want to go through and try to select. So is there a motion to the effect of beginning and drafting a request for proposal, which would have to do with hiring the presidential search firm, just in general form, authorize the administration to begin that process? Is there such a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Let me ask you, Mr. Curley, does that,
That covers you.
is that going to cover everything? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. All right. One other thing, I think it would be wise to talk briefly about the fact that the board in closed session has begun to discuss the process that they might want to use to consider filling the current trustee position that's been open and is now unfilled due to a resignation. And so that's something that's going to be underway. Everybody will have their opportunity to think about that and how they want to do it and what the process would be, and then at a later time we'll take that issue up and put that on a formal agenda item. All right, so that's that. I think we've gone through everything. Is there anything I haven't covered at this point? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 And
We're
we're going to
adjourned.
go down and grab